Holy hell, that is the first time I've heard Deep Voice Guy in a while. But more importantly, it has been too long since I got to sit down with Cousin Tony and Cousin Oz of the Cousins Collectibles podcast. I'm Shane Norton, aka the Sports Card Nobody, but this is the faction powered by the NCO, baby. Gentlemen, how you been? And it's been way too long.
Tony,
Dude, go ahead, Oz. Go ahead.
nah, man. Listen, I am flabbergasted at this moment. Like, this is something I've been waiting for. How long? What, 2-3 months, maybe? Maybe longer?
It might even be longer.
Yeah.
It's been a minute.
It's been a while, and I've been having people, asking, "Yo, where's the faction? Where's the faction?" I'm like, "It's coming, it's coming." And every time, we were gonna go ahead and record, something popped up, and you've been busy,
Yep.
Tony, myself, but finally we're here. So let's have a banging episode like we always do. Go ahead, Tony.
Yeah, this is like, Shane, you're the wrestling guy. This is like when something in real life happens to one of the guys, and then they just like write them off the script for a little while. Like, so one of us three had something bad happen behind the scenes. You just got to guess who it was.
Yeah. Well, I mean, credit to both of you because we had bad things happen behind the scenes tonight. I mean, you guys are talking about flooded basements and like shoveling water out of there and all that. And we even had to postpone the timing tonight, but we still finally said the hell with it. Let's just sit down and do it, even if you guys are wearing your rain boots right now.
Yeah, for sure. I was like, dude, we got to do it, man. Like I said, the people have been asking for it, so.
Yeah, plus the powers that be, the NCO was like, "Yo, it's got to happen today, or you guys are cut off, so we can't disrespect the NCO."
That's right. All right. Well, you know what, gentlemen? Why don't we get into our first topic? Now, this one's a little bit selfish. I threw this one on the list because I had a pretty cool moment, although I want to pick your guys' brains and what you actually think about it. So, all right, long story as short as possible. I bought a card on eBay. This card was listed for something in the range like months and months ago, around like 11K. It was listed way high. Now, as you all recall, I had on my own show, Sports Card Nobody, I bought a Rock 2014 Prism or 2014 Topps Chrome Gold. Came in, all the shenanigans, it was scratched. I got my money back. It all worked out. I got that for like 2K. This was the same card that was listed for like around 11 from a seller that I knew. And I reached out to them. I said, "Hey, any chance you got any room onto this?" And they were like, "No, I've already got an offer so high. I know the prices have come down, but I just can't, whatever." Fast forward to a couple weeks ago. A couple of these cards popped that were PSA 8 and a PSA 9. And I started to think, maybe I just buy an 8, whatever. But I reached back out to this person who had the card raw. And I said, "Hey, there's an 8 out there that's at a price that I can afford. Do you have any room?" He came down. He said, "You know what? I can do the price that you asked." And I was like, "You know what? I might actually go for this card for the 8. Can you knock off a little bit more?" And we came to an agreement, and I bought the card raw. Awesome. Finally got the card. It comes in. It gets past the eBay authentication, which is something we're actually going to talk about a little bit later, but it passes through that. It gets in my hands, and I'm looking at this thing. I'm like, this is gorgeous. Anyone curious, you can go check out my Instagram, my Twitters. I've shared a couple pictures or my threads. You guys on threads yet? You got to get on there.
No, what the hell? I mean, I just hold your thought. I'm like, another thing?
Another thing, man. We got to get off the bird. We got to get on the
they're trying to get rid of Twitter, bro.
Whatever.
I'm Team Threads. But anyway, it's posted all over there. You can go check out the raw version of the card if you'd like. So I sent it off to PSA. I knew I was going to grade this card, and I had to guess try to figure out what this thing is worth. And this is the point of this topic here. Based on what I had seen on eBay, the PSA 8 that I was considering had been listed around 1,800. That ended up going to auction before I sent my card to PSA, and it only sold for under 1,000. That's okay. Well, that puts a bit of a dent in the value of this card already if it were to get an 8. The 9, meanwhile, is still sitting on eBay now for several weeks at under 2,500. It's $24.99. And so, right, theoretically, you can go and make an offer. I mean, it doesn't have offer, but you could probably negotiate if it's been sitting there. Maybe not. I don't know. Nonetheless, this is what I'm using as my basis. So I figure, okay, I'm going to send this thing off to PSA. I'm going to assume it's about 2,500 if I were to get a 9. I mean, that would be fantastic, right? So that's what I put in. I send it off. That is like a 5-day waiting period, 5 business days when you're at that level, which was $150. Fast forward. Well, I guess now we'll go back a couple of days ago. I get an email from PSA saying, "We need your approval." I read it. I open this up. I'm like, that's interesting. I'm reading this thing, and it says, "The card that you submitted graded at a value higher than you submitted it for. blah 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 blah. We're gonna charge you, or we're gonna have to get approval to charge you $330, right around there. I forget exactly what it was. So I'm looking at this thing. I'm like, wait a minute. Does that mean did this thing gem me? Did I just get a 10 on this card? So I respond back, and that's what I say. I say, whoa. Does that mean it gemmed? I approve, but you just got my hopes way up. The person responded back, doesn't care about spoilers at all, told me the card gemmed. That's what he's looking at. That's why. So this is, according to PSA, it puts the card in the range of up to $5,000, which would be phenomenal. I'm not the biggest market guy and all those sorts of things, but all of that long-winded bragging, holy crap, something finally worked out for me with a card that I bought off eBay, which I still don't even have in hand yet. It still hasn't arrived yet. So when it does, that'll be all over all my socials as well. But nonetheless, I posted that email on eBay, and I got a comment from somebody who is phenomenal, really good friend of mine, on the social media spheres, basically saying that, how much of a scam PSA is. Imagine going to a mechanic and, after they fix your car, they're like, yeah, but you know what? It's actually going to cost more. And I responded back, like, you know what? I get what you're saying, but I've never been more thrilled ever to have to pay more money in this particular instance. But all of that, guys, what do you think? What do you think about the PSA upcharge and how this works? You got any thoughts, any opinions on all that?
Well. First off, congratulations, man. That's huge, bro. Because I know what all the crap that you've had to go through with trying to get this specific card. Getting your money back the first time, and wow, for that to gem, that's huge, man. Buying it raw. I mean, the guy that probably owned it is probably kicking himself in the ass. Once he figured out that that's the case, why didn't he ever get that graded first?
You know what? So when I got the card in hand, I was really impressed with the condition. I am bad at this. I tend to think all my cards are perfect, right? But I'm looking at this thing and I'm like, I don't see a scratch on this thing. It looks really good. So I actually sent him a message and I just said, hey, dude, I got the card. I'm really stoked. It looks great. Out of curiosity, why didn't you grade? And he basically said, I don't trust graders and I don't grade anything. That's why. So that, he falls in that camp that he didn't use this word, this was someone else, but maybe he believes it's a scam. Maybe he would be upset if he got I don't know. But he seems like just a non-grading individual.
Right. And the thing is, I've never, we've submitted to PSA and we have yet to get one of those emails, to brag about. So it's easy for us that we could say, oh yeah, that's a scam. Why would I pay $300? But like you said, you couldn't be any happier. And I think I would be the same way if I were to get that email on a card, especially when I wasn't expecting it to gem, thinking it's going to be maybe a 9 and possibly an 8. And here it comes back, hey, you need $300 more to get this card, back to you. I would have been like, where do I sign up? Because dude, I see what people are saying that are not PSA. Obviously, you want your cards graded. It shouldn't cost any more to get a particular card graded. Any other company, it is what it is. You pay that fee, get the card back, you get the grade. PSA, they're like, listen, we know if this card, gems with us, there's going to be a significantly higher, premium for that card once you sell it. And they're like, you know what? Since we got that kind of clout, we're going to take our little piece here, so that we can, at this moment in time, you're going to have to pay for that gem mint 10. But on the flip side, you were thinking maybe it's an $1,800 card, possibly, $2,000. And here you are, doubling that, maybe even more, which is huge. So you're more than happy to go ahead and get that value. So to me, I mean, does it suck? It's not a scam. You know what you're signing up for if you submit it to PSA. It's not like that's something coming out of the blue that you're not aware of. You just don't think about it because, 9 times out of 10, we're not playing in that realm. We're not playing with these big boy cards, us nobodies.
Yeah.
So like you said, it was your first time. It's never happened for Tony and I. Not a scam. Sucks. But if it's me, I would have been happy as hell.
So I'm on record. I told you, we talked about this one time, and I said, to me, the card is the card. PSA, SGC, all those guys have no business what I do with that card after. Like, to me, it's grade the card, and it goes out the window. That's the only thing where I have, like, Oz says I'm a PSA fanboy. That's the only, but to, like I said, what you're getting into. It says it pretty clearly when you sign up. Hey, there's a chance that this could grade higher than what you're putting it at, and then we're gonna, do our thing. It does suck, but it's like a good sucking.
Yeah.
I guess. Did I say that? It's late night,
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Faction After Dark.
yeah. Yeah. So it's definitely one of those things you're like, crap, but then it's cool. But so what's the move with the card once you? Because I mean, I know that you initially you were doing the whole WrestleMania thing.
Yep.
The Rock doesn't show up.
Yeah.
So, which
Yeah.
actually worked out well, because like if you would have bought it and then whatever, I guess all things now you have a whole nother thing going on. But yeah. So what's the move?
So yeah, you're right. I talk about this a lot, and in that episode of the podcast, I was pretty clear. This is rare for me. I really don't look for investment opportunities in this space. I'm a collector, and that's really what I drive for. So I'm not exactly sure, because it was still the same plan. I did end up getting this cheaper this time than I did that last time when I had to return it. So this whole thing really worked out well. It is hard not to want to follow through, post the card, and see what happens. But the collector side of me is already grabbing hold.
Question.
What you got?
So a certain somebody has a certain one of one that you like.
I've thought of that.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it is
Putting
possible.
putting little seeds in.
It is possible this card pays for that, right? It is entirely possible that this gets me there. So we'll see. I mean, I don't know. I haven't made a firm decision yet. I will likely post at a price that's higher than I would actually even expect it to sell, and try to field offers. And we'll see. I'll probably get it in hand and want to enjoy it for a little bit, because this is probably never going to happen again.
What's the pop
so
count
we'll
on
see.
that?
So I'm not entirely. It's either pop 4 or pop 5, but I don't know if they included mine yet. That's why I'm not sure, because the report says 4 as of a few days ago, but I don't know when PSA updates their pop report. So it's either a 4 or 5. So very, very low pop count on a very sought after scarce card. So we'll see.
Now is that serial numbered or no?
It is. It's the gold. So in the WWE 2014 set, that's numbered to 50.
50. Okay.
Yep.
Dude, congrats. Because I mean, I know,
Yeah,
like you said, you went through it with the other one, so
I
it's
did.
nice to.
That's
And
what
a
you call
different rock
mic
card.
drop.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro. That's.
Yeah. Gotta win. I gotta win.
So congrats, and I can't wait to see what happens next. Because now it's like, dude, that's like that's a big piece on the chessboard.
It is.
I mean,
it
it's
is.
like
I mean,
you can-
sometimes you are playing chess. That's a good way to put it. And this time, I was trying, to see if something good could happen, and it did.
So,
we'll see.
Mr. Nobody goes from nobody to now he didn't you actually get that Hulk Hogan color blast?
I did. That was in a break, though. It's funny. That actually worked out because so there was a guy, this Tyler, the collector. He does a lot for the wrestling community, tracking one-of-ones. And he decided that he was going to do his own break. And I really don't enter breaks. I was like, you know what? I'm going to support him. He's doing all this work for free. He's like, sure, I'll enter in. Maybe I'll go for the Hulk Hogan card, because maybe I'll get the color blast. And shockingly, that's exactly what happened, which is pretty radical.
Look at this guy. He's on a roll, baby.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
I guess, right?
I
Never
know.
leave
I
the
can't wait
table
to,
when you're on a heater.
I know. I can't wait to see him. I want to just touch him. Maybe get some of that, some of that soul glow coming this way a little bit.
We're going to talk about this later, but we'll rub shoulders soon. We're going to be rubbing shoulders real soon, but
sure.
we're going to talk about that a little bit later in the episode. But
Sure.
all right, gentlemen, why don't we move on? This next topic, I believe, Cousin Oz, you threw this one in. You got a little bit of question about if, the last 2 years of our lives, we would do something. What do you got, man?
Yeah, man. Obviously, we've been doing content creation. We've been collecting. We kind of came to the game a little bit, late. We had our little hiatus and came back into it. So we're doing our things, and we've been learning as we go. So I'm thinking, now that you know what you know now, so if you had a chance to do the last 2 years all over again in the hobby, knowing what you know now, what would you have done differently, if anything?
That was a good question, and I thought about it. I was swabbing the deck here. I actually probably wouldn't change anything. It might sound, I'm not trying to sound cocky or whatever, but like if I would have like screwed up or my mishaps in the beginning, like I don't think I'd be like right now. I haven't bought a card in a while now, And before it was like I was buying just to buy, to get that fix, to get that itch. Now it's I've always had I become more purposeful as a lot, and I look at cards every day, but I haven't. I'm like really like the other day. It was I'm building that Clemente 2021 Topps Platinum Anniversary, and it was I have the one red. There's a red refractor, whatever you want to call it, but there was a PSA 9 up. I eventually want to get them all graded, and I wanted to go after it, and I'm like, nah, I'm good. I was like, I'll just hold out for a 10, or if not, like I have it already. So I mean, I will grade it eventually, but it's more about having them all graded. The individual grades. I mean, would I like high grades? Sure, but then like I looked it up. The pop kind of was like 4 or 5, and then it was like 4 or 5 higher. So I'm like, dude, I'll just wait. Like that wouldn't have happened 2 years ago. Off the rip, I would have been all in on that. Like so, so yeah, no, like, and then just the ebbs and flows and learning from like guys like you guys and stuff like that. It's been a blast, and I honestly I wouldn't change a thing. I mean, maybe I'd spend a little less money, but again, that's just what I spent yesterday helped me. It's been like I'm a better collector today because of it.
Yeah, and that's tough too because we kind of came in at the height of the market.
Yeah.
Talking about this 2-year period with COVID and everything happening. That was a tough entry for all of us. But the thing is, you didn't know how it was going to go. So at that time, everybody just thinking, oh man, this thing's just going to keep going up and up and up and up. So that FOMO kicks in. Everybody's, on edge. And then, like you said, you see that card, you're like, oh man, there's only 8 total, a couple 9s, couple 10s. I may not see this card ever again. Got to get it.
Yeah.
And
that definitely was my mindset back. Now it's like, no, I know it'll come back. Like that's the second one that's come up in like 2 weeks. So now it's like, yeah, it'll be back. Like I really don't sweat. Like the card has to be super, super rare. Like that I know it's rare or a 1 of 1. I mean, I know there's a million 1 of 1s, but if it's certain 1 of 1s, I'll full court press on it. But yeah, now most of it's just like, nah, I know it'll be back.
So in other words, you're content with your journey so far. You don't really see any need to do anything apart from that. You're good.
Yeah, I might be missing something. You might, but yeah, I don't know. I think every little step of the way is just it's like I said. I'm cool right now. I'm good. Like I don't know. I don't know. So like, if I would have changed anything, would I be as happy collecting now as I would? I don't know.
Yeah, gotcha. So. Shane?
Yeah, I mean, what you're saying makes a lot of sense, right? Because our failures, our trials and tribulations, and anything in life, not to get too deep and philosophical here, right? But that's all what makes us who we are. It's how we end up in the space, right where we're sitting right now. Everything that happened before is what got us here, right? In some form or fashion. But yeah, I guess though, if I could go back and change anything at all over the last 2 years, I wish that I had found my niche a little bit faster, and you got to go through it to get there. What's that?
I wanted to ask you about that.
Yeah, like for me, I really found my wrestling niche in the last probably year and a half. So if my collecting journey really had started, I got back into it in 2018 and it was slow going there. If I could change anything, I actually would have gone full bore immediately. That's my only mistake.
Before it all popped off.
I was like just dabbling here and there in my few little areas. If I had gone full bore immediately, this whole thing might be different. But nonetheless, but I just wish I could have like found my niche a little bit faster, because there is so much of the like when I go through some of my stuff now, there's so many cards that are like, oh my god, I don't want this at all. Like there's no reason for this to be in my collection, and there are things that people might not even necessarily like trying to sell it. It's like the hassle isn't even necessarily worth it. So there are things that ended up just taking up space. But when I found my niche, and more specifically, even within my niche, the fact that because when I first got into the wrestling cards, I didn't become the Bret Hart super collector for a while as well. That took some time for me to realize this is really where my passion is. So it would be nice to have gotten there a little bit sooner. Again, mostly because even wrestling didn't take off until seemingly right after I got into wrestling. If I could have a little bit faster, I could have beat some of the upcharges and some of the cards I would have liked to have gotten my hands on. But I think that's it though, because even with the content creation, I mean, that's something I wouldn't change at all because I've talked about this a lot with you guys and on my podcast, but like my hobby experience got so much better after starting the content creation just because it got me talking to guys like you, talking to other people, you know, like that rubbing shoulders and getting to meet people. You can do that just by sharing stuff on Instagram or going out to card shows. I mean, just getting involved with other people makes this thing tremendously better. But if anything, I wish I could have spent less time buying stuff that right now I just couldn't care less about.
Yeah, that's fair. I kind of agree with that point. That's like the biggest thing. Just being more patient and not letting the FOMO consume me, because that was a big thing when I got back into it. Because like I always say I've never spent anything on myself in my life. It was always about my kids and my wife, and just saving money for myself for the future. So once I found this hobby, it was like, oh man, it's the kid in a candy store, and you throw, you sprinkle on top of that the fact that the market is just continuing to go up, and you think, man, these are collectibles. It was like I started a Kobe Bryant collection, was like one of my first big things, and of course at that time it was just right after he passed, so all the good cards, there was no way I was affording them, so I'm paying crazy amounts for base cards, but in my mind I have no idea. I'm just, this is Kobe Bryant, this is his rookie year, this card's going to be worth 10,000 by next year, I'm good to go. But those are the things that you learn over time, and all those mistakes. I mean, bro, I made a ton of mistakes. That's that's one thing. I looking back on it now, all the crap that I bought or the mistakes that you've made, if you were able to take that money and just be patient with it and really focused, and get a card that is really a true collectible, like the top 1%, like we always talk about, whatever that you're collecting. That's just like the main regrets with that. But everything else, man, learning those lessons, sports card lessons, Big Ken always talks about that. You have to go through those things in order to become the collector that you are now. And same thing with the content creation. When we first started, it's night and day. Now it's like we could just get on the mic. We don't even have to prepare. We could have an hour episode, just poop it out. It's like, that was easy. That was good to go. But at first we were like very meticulous. We were all the uhs and the ums, and Tony's there for like 10 hours making sure he edits the whole podcast, and we just had to go above and beyond, because it's two guys, two cousins that really don't know what we're talking about. Who the hell's going to listen to us? So we just had to make sure that we did everything, try to be better than everybody just to get a listen. But that's all part and parcel. It goes with the game, and you need that to get to where you're at now. So yeah, as far as last 2 years, there's really not much I would change, man, honestly.
Like that.
Yeah.
Shane, I wanted to ask you though, so now you're kind of locked in on the wrestling. How have your eBay save searches changed? And just how do you feel just as a whole? Because like I said, I listen to your show all the time, and it's, I always call it like a verbal audio diary of our our thing.
That's a good way to put it, actually.
Yeah, but how's the nobody feeling now that he's rolling around with color blast and PSA 10s and like.
Dude, good, man. I feel good with my collection. Like, sincerely, it's come to a good spot. I think, yeah, it was with you guys on one of the faction episodes where I think for the new year time frame where we talked about like goals or whatever. And I stated with you guys that one of my goals was to try to become, build one of the best, at least public, Bret Hart collections that are out there. And I believe that I've done that. I believe that at this point I have a collection that could stand toe-to-toe with it. It might not be the best, like I don't have that one-of-one prism that Prism God just got. I don't have the Super Fractor you were kind of hinting at a little bit earlier. So there's some monster Bret Hart cards out there, but nonetheless, I believe that I have something that can stand toe-to-toe with just about anybody's stuff at this point. And that's awesome. And like that's basically all the save searches, man. It's Bret Hart Immaculate 2022, Bret Hart Prism, this, that, and the other. That's kind of what really runs the whole thing. But at the same time, I still sometimes feel a little hollow in that I feel like I'm neglecting some of my other passions. Because I'm rocking a Mookie Betts jersey right now because he's going to be in the Home Run Derby. In All-Star Game, and Mookie Betts is one of my favorite athletes on the planet right now. I love baseball. I love football. I love basketball. I'm still fuming that we got swept by the freaking Denver Nuggets.
Can I
in
say
the
real quick?
playoffs.
I listened to those
Oh
episodes.
God.
No. I listened to those episodes when they were just, in the heat of the playoffs before they met up with
Oh,
Denver.
man.
Boy, you were getting it in, bro. You were getting it
I
in.
might have been feeling it a little bit. I might have been riding a little bit of a wave, man.
Yeah.
And then even in Game 4, they like came out on fire in the first half, and I was like, "This is it, man! They're writing the story right now." And then got their butts whooped.
You had the
Oh,
confidence
man.
and swag of a certain mailman. So, it's like- by the way,
Yeah.
let me ask you guys. You said about Mookie Betts, and this is what popped up in my head. So the All-Star games this week.
Yeah.
Your favorite All-Star game as a kid and as an adult?
Oh, good question. It's funny. I think for me, when Cal Ripken, his last All-Star game, that's what really sticks out to me because he was playing third base and it was Alex Rodriguez was playing shortstop and he came and was like, "Oh, we got to switch positions, man. You're the shortstop."
Yeah.
And then I think he hits a home run in that game. There's all these
Yeah.
questions about they probably grooved him the fastball and whatever.
Yeah.
That one really stands out to me as one that is just memorable. As an adult, none of them. I think the All-Star game's trash. I can't do. I hate at this point as I've grown up. Every single sports All-Star game to me is like I don't watch any.
It just
of them.
progressively gets worse and worse.
Dude, it does.
We got flag football now.
Yeah. I'll give you mine. But go ahead, us. And it doesn't have to be a specific game. Like I don't have a specific. That's actually Shane. That's a great answer. I don't have a specific game per se like that. But go ahead, us.
In baseball or any
Oh
sport?
no. Like what was your favorite All-Star game as a kid that you looked forward to? Like I'll give you my answer. For me, it was MLB.
Yeah,
Why?
I got you.
Because like when I was a kid, like that's when like the A's were like they had Dave Stewart, Ricky Henderson, like all those guys. So I couldn't see them over here. Like their games were like a 10. I don't even know that the only time we catch them maybe to be on ESPN like Sunday Night Baseball or something like that. Like it was very rare for me to see the A's play. And back then they were like this mythical team, bro. Because they were loaded. That team, that Mark McGwire, Canseco, like dude, it was crazy. So at that time, and like the Dodgers were like they were like these mythical, like I said, there were these mythical teams in the West Coast that I could never see and all you hear about because that time they had like Oral Hershiser, like dudes like that, like all those. I don't know if they all crossed paths, but the whole point was that when it was MLB time, like it was just like all them guys played. I'm like, damn, that's crazy. Like, cause I couldn't, I was stuck watching the crappy ass Phillies here. So like MLB All-Star game in that 80 like mid 80-ish kind of stuff was my favorite. As an adult now, yeah, I'm like with you. It used to be the NBA one, but that's gotten so bad to the point where like even like Denver's coach was like, yo, this is trash. The players say it's trash. I don't know how you can make them care because they're like, dude, you're gonna throw out some money or whatever. They don't. We're like, dude, I can make less just sitting at home, or just put a bottle over here and it says a certain name and I make more money than that. But so it was MLB as a kid, and now definitely I'm like, I watched the NBA one for a little bit, but all the other ones not at all.
Yeah, no, for me it's always been the NBA, especially as a kid. My favorite one was watching the dunk contest with Dominique Wilkins and Michael Jordan, and both at the height of their career. And that was just back and forth. And to me, Dominique won that. Michael, he got that just because he was Michael. But Dominique beat him. It was like 50. I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. And then I think he busted out the from the foul line.
That was it.
And it was a wrap right there. So that as a kid, I vividly remember that. And then as an adult, I mean, it's a while back. I think 2001. I think that's when Allen Iverson.
Okay. Allen Iverson.
Remember they were down by like 20.
Yeah.
And Allen Iverson led the charge and came back. Yeah, he was killing it. I was like, oh, so it was like, that whole time frame with AI being MVP. He won the MVP that year. So I vividly remember that, just watching that comeback and Allen Iverson just putting that team on his shoulders.
Couldn't put the other team on his shoulders in 2001, though, right?
No.
All the way, anyway. Lake show.
Easy killer.
Anyway.
Easy.
Good answers.
Don't ruin my fantasy, bro.
All right, so this next one, this is the other one that I put on our list to chat about today. And the reason I put this on there is 'cause I saw something on Twitter recently that reinvigorated my interest in this topic. I've talked a lot about eBay authentication over the last year and change whenever they debuted it because it's had a lot of ups and downs. I've been a fan of it. I enjoy what they're trying to do. I think it's great that there's like a middleman that's charging nothing, basically authenticating the card. Is this the card that they say it is? Is this card in the condition that they say it is? And then sending it off. But there's been some flaws with it. The biggest flaw for me is this one. Basically, there was once I got a card and I got told it didn't get authenticated, so it got sent back. It was the first authenticated card I had actually ever bought. And I reached out to that seller and I was like, hey, do you know why they said, what happened? And I guess they got told that it was because of some damage. That person ended up sending the card to SGC. Sure enough, it got graded a 6. So there was damage that was not disclosed. I'm glad I didn't buy that card. But there have been cards since that I didn't get because of reasons that I'm not aware of, that the sellers didn't tell me it was this and it graded that, right? That was a rare moment. Someone on Twitter posted, I forget who it was, but they posted about 2 days ago that they bought a card on eBay, it hit the authentication, and they got an email with a photo of some damage, some scratches or whatever it was, and they asked him, do you want to still buy this card with these now being disclosed? I don't know what that person decided. I thought it was cool that they shared it, and I commented on it. I was like, this is a game changer for me if this is true, if this is really what eBay is now doing. I went through, though, the whole thing. I read all the FAQs. I read all the terms and conditions. I don't see that they're doing that, or at least that they're advertising it. But so if this is true, to me, this is a game changer. Giving the buyers the option is where we should be at. Like, if you're going to do this, let me decide if that condition's worth it or not, because I might be buying a 1 of 1 and I don't care about is it real? Great, give me the card, right? There's times where people just aren't in it for the condition. Yes, it should be disclosed. They should write about it in the description, but if they don't, let me know and let me deal with it. So in general, I'm curious. We'll start with you, Tony. What do you think about eBay authentication? What do you think about this new thing if they're adding it? Thoughts?
Yeah, I like the authentication. That's cool. But I was as you were talking, I'm like, wait, so they're authenticating and checking on damage?
They check on damage. Yep.
I mean, that's great. I think that's fantastic. But I'm like, if then you're doing more than authenticating it. You're looking it over. Again, as a buyer, I think that's great. As a seller, you're probably like, well, wait a minute, you're just authenticating it. So it's up to then the seller, how honest the seller wants to be and disclose, said things. But then I think that also opens up another can of worms. Like, okay, so how severe are the damages that they're going to, is a little nick on the corner, they're letting that go, and then when you get it, you're like, oh, this is busted. So again, there's always.
Now, real quick, is that for mainly raw, or are they talking like in slab?
So they authenticate both. Don't quote me on this. For sure, the raw cards, if they're $250 or more, and I believe they are now, they do it for autograph cards. I believe they've started to do memorabilia, but don't quote me on that because at some point they weren't. Like, it was just whatever. But I think they've started to. They do graded cards as well, and this is now essentially just to make sure that it's legit, to make sure that it's not a fake slab or something of that nature. And I think it still might be $250 or up as well.
Yeah.
At one point it was $750, but they may have dropped that price. And yeah, so they do look for damage, but what they're looking for is what's disclosed. So if like that rock card that I got that didn't, that I had to send back, without rehashing the whole story, you guys can go back and check out the episode if you're really curious. But that seller had done something where it got through authentication, but they didn't authenticate it. And eBay told me that. But that was actually part of the reason I bought that card, was this is going to get authenticated, so I'm going to know if there's something that this person isn't disclosing. Yeah. The shenanigans, it got through, it got to me, and eBay said we didn't authenticate, so you can return it. And I looked at it, I was like, this is scratched to all hell. I wanted you to flag this for me because they didn't put it in the description. Yeah. So that's what they're looking for. They're looking for things that are, I don't know how bad, you're right, it's unclear. But if they see something that's not in that description, they flag it and they fail it, and I guess now maybe they're telling you what's there.
Okay, no, man, as a buyer, I'm 1,000% with it. That is, that is kudos to eBay, hats off, all that stuff, man. Oh, dude, that is a game changer. It's like now you feel even better. Yeah.
Right? I mean, you can. It
Yeah.
helps. You talk about you were just talking about this recently in one of your podcasts, right? I forget what it is you're looking for. I think it's a Clemente or something, but you want to be able to see it in person, right? So I think
Oh
that's
yeah.
something you
Yeah.
might do at the National. You're going to be looking for that card, is what you were talking about. Because you're right, seeing it in person can change everything, right? You really get to look at it. But we don't have that luxury most of the year. eBay is where I live for 95% of my card buying, right?
Right.
It's just what it is. So having this little extra layer for me it's been great but flawed, and I'm hoping that this is a step to getting to a more perfect
Yeah.
system.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's been great, but like you said, it's been flawed. There's been opportunities, especially building my Michael Jackson collection. So anything that I'm, purchasing over 250, usually goes out. And I haven't bought anything raw. Everything's been slabbed up, either PSA, and I only bought one SGC. So everything I bought has primarily been slabbed up by PSA. So then it goes out to authentication, and there's been several instances where I know it supposedly PSA is the one that's actually doing the authentication through eBay,
For
correct?
slabbed, yep.
Yeah.
Yep, for slab
So
stuff,
they're
correct.
sending it back like, yeah, we couldn't authenticate this, even though it's a PSA slab. And so I don't know what that means. There's like 2 or 3 like stickers, rare stickers. Does that mean that this is no good? You guys slabbed it up. Would you pay me what I pay? I mean, there's no explanation. It's just like, yeah, we couldn't authenticate this.
Yeah, that is still the biggest problem. So like if this is true, if this person didn't make this up, or they're not, it's not a one-off. If they are reaching out to people, that's great, because that's the thing, man. When I've had cards fail, they give you nothing. There's like
Yeah.
it failed, so you have no idea why. Was it fake? Was it damaged?
Right.
And yeah, in a slab scenario, okay, well now what? Did you guys do something about it? Is it, if it's fake? Because what if this person reaches out to you off of eBay? Says, yeah, I don't know, they flagged it, but it's real, and now what do you do, right?
Yeah.
You're stuck because you don't know what happened.
Exactly. Then I had another instance, which we're going to get into next week. I don't want to give it all away, but they basically passed the card through PSA. They missed it, and they labeled it incorrectly. And I purchased the card at a high value thinking it was one thing, which it wasn't. So after I realized that it wasn't, it already had gone to authentication, like they send it immediately. So I figured, oh, it's PSA, they'll catch it. I sent a note, hey, this is the card I thought I bought. This is what it is. And they're like, yeah, we'll look at it. And then they authenticated it and said it was legit. So then I had to go through a whole big thing, which, again, I don't want to give it all away. But the fact is, PSA slapped up a card that they shouldn't have with the incorrect, one of those 90s inserts that they're real, difficult to see the differences in. And then it was just a big mess trying to get the money back. So,
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what we call foreshadowing. Tune
Yes.
in to the
Be
Cousins
ready.
Collectibles
Thursday Night
podcast
Live.
next week.
Thursday Night Live, you're going to hear a story of all stories.
I cannot wait to see what the finer details of that, my friend.
Dun dun dun.
All right, why don't we move on to the next one? Something we haven't gotten to do in a while, because we haven't been doing anything for a while. But Tony, you got another rip it or slab it for us?
I do. So let's get to cracking. So apparently the National is the place where everyone goes to buy football cards. There are no other cards available but
Zero.
football. So
Quarterbacks.
Only
that's it.
quarterbacks.
Only
right.
unproven quarterbacks. So if you're going to the
Exactly.
National,
Exactly. You want Joe Montana? Take a hike, kid.
yeah. If you're going to the National and you're going to buy Joe Montana, Joe Namath, John Elway, they will not be there. So don't go. Go next week to whatever your local show is, and you will find them there. So my question to you guys is, rip it or slab it? Buying football cards at the National as a whole. Are you guys, if you see a card, you guys are both football fans. Rip it, yeah. Rip it, no. I'm not buying any football cards at the National. Or slab it, yes. If the price is right and it's actually a proven player that I like, or maybe an unproven player that you like, I'd buy it. So Shane, Mr. Wrestling guy, dipping the toe a little bit into who?
Brock Peasy.
I won't say what I call him, but yeah, a little Brock Purdy action. I'll I'll save that for when we're gonna another time. Anyway, all right. So, like I mentioned earlier, I do feel hollow with some of my collecting. Right, I don't buy the baseball cards as much as I was, and football. Football is getting neglected bad for me. So when I go to shows, especially like local, I go to the Mohegan Sun show, the EC3 show, as often as I can. That's when I start to like see other things, and that's when I start to get like the itch, right? So at the National, I'm going to get the itch. I'm going to see some baseball, basketball, and like you said, football cards there. But at this point, I'm educated enough to realize we're what a month and two away from where football really is going to kick off. I know what's happening at the National. I know that everybody's trying to get the next big thing so that the minute week one happens and they go off, they can sell it at a slightly higher price before somebody buys it at the loss 5 weeks later. I am going to rip buying football cards specifically at the National with one caveat. If I can find a certain thing like a Joe Montana or something that I can understand the actual market, and it's not just prospecting, like sports card therapist Rob always says, goats over prospect. If I find something that I genuinely like, okay, I would like to get another Jerry Rice card in my collection. I had a PSA 8 and I moved it to help get another card at some point. If I can find a good price on that, I'm in for it. As bad as I want future Super Bowl MVP Brock Purdy in my collection, I'm going to hold off until he wins 3 Super Bowls and his prices go down like Patrick Mahomes has had happen to him.
That's right. And you know damn well.
I'm going to rip it.
Yeah, all right, fair enough. Oz, before I get to you, you know damn well there's going to be a vendor that's going to have a Joe Montana card right next to a Brock Purdy card, and the Brock Purdy will be 3 to 4x what the Montana is. I guarantee you'll see that. But
That's great. Yeah, no, I will not be purchasing. I will not be prospecting. So it is a rip it all day. Listen, man, we know the game. I don't understand why people even entertain this whole, let's prospect on these unproven quarterbacks, and then it culminates at the National, and then somebody's going to be left holding that bag, paying exorbitant amount for somebody that's going to be trash, within 3 games into the season. You're going to be like, why did I just buy that Desmond Ritter at $6,000? We talked about was the collector when what was it, Mills?
yeah,
That he traded a Joe Burrow for a Davis Mills,
right.
like midway through the season last year. And we're like, what? He's like, yeah, Mills is the man. I'm like, no, he's not. No, not compared to Joe Burrow. No.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, but at the time, this was this and this was this. And I guess, that's a whole nother mindset when, you're in the game like that and you're flipping, and that's your, what you're doing for a living, and the margins and however the hell else you're looking at it. But for me, like Shane was just saying, I love football. Football, that's America's pastime right now. It's the most popular sport out there. We talk about baseball, basketball, but football is king. And you want to be able to go ahead and try to collect some of your favorite players. So if I see something, a Philly great, or even just like, we talk about the wide receivers, the skill positions, running backs, wide receivers who don't get love. It's just all about the QB, which pisses me off about football. That's why I kind of just stay away from it, because it's kind of like you'll get a card, and if it's somebody special, it might go up maybe in the future, but more than likely it's going to stay what it is. You got it for $250 now, probably 5 years from now it might be $275, until somehow, some way the hobby, Mount Hobby decides, what, football's okay to be collected right now. And we're not just talking QBs, we're talking all skill position, and even some defensive players. They have value now.
Can we give a little bit of love to a linebacker for one?
Yeah, but that has to come down from Mount Hobby, and that takes a while. Those guys, they're slow to change narratives.
It's a tall mountain. They got to come a long way down.
Rip.
That's fair. I'm actually slabbing buying football cards now. But no, football cards, not prospects. Football cards. You guys know I buy football cards. I like my football cards.
Yeah.
And my football cards, like I said, like I don't buy them with the intent of like,
Flipping.
no, or because I know like they're very specific to my team, to my.
Yeah.
They don't have the appeal to a mass appeal to the hobby. As to say, when I buy my football cards, they're just Eagle cards, so they're.
Yeah.
So if you're not an Eagle fan, you could care less.
They're worthless.
Right.
Yeah,
You try-
it's
you
like
try to
me
talk-
buying like a Brock Purdy or one of those scrubs.
You try to talk to our guys, in the
Oh,
Wolfpack DMs. You got all these guys in the Northeast, New York guys. And,
Yeah,
you
like
know,
they're gonna like their.
they're all up. You want to talk about Mount Hobby? These guys are like, we're professional fans here. You guys are scrubs, and then you got Shane on the West Coast thinking, he's Mr. LA. So
I like that. I like that. We like being in the eye of the hurricane. I mean, we bring a little bit on ourselves, so let's be.
Yeah.
So fair enough. All right. So I'll go to you first with this one. Victor Wembanyama,
Ooh,
franchise
Wemby.
player. Rip it or slab it.
that's a very, very
Wait, should be
interesting.
rip
question.
it and slap it, or rip it and slap it for the Britney Spears incident, or what?
Ew.
Yeah, can you? That's crazy. She just got smacked by one of her
Oh my god!
Wembanyama's
I'm
security
surprised
guards.
Brittany was even around. I'm like, why is Brittany in the same place where Victor
It's a
was? Like, I don't.
wrestling
That's a
match.
whole. Whatever.
Yeah,
Well, I
we'll
think
get
she's a
into it.
residency in Vegas, is why.
Oh,
Like,
is that-
she
okay.
performs there.
Oh,
I think
that's
so I
right.
think she's always in Vegas. But anyway,
Yeah. So,
Okay.
speaking of Wembanyama, tonight he dropped 27 in his second game. So he had 27, I believe, 12 rebounds, 3 blocks. So not bad. Again, it's a summer league game. We've all seen those players, that go out in the summer league. His first game, he even came out and said after his first game, "I don't even know what I'm doing out there," which is like, wow, okay. You're only, the hope of every collector's, out there. They're waiting and with bated breath to see everything that you're about to do to try to make as much money as possible. Listen, he has the height, he has a skill set, he's very light in the ass. Once he gets up in, a Jokic or an Embiid, he's gonna get bullied his first couple years. He got to put on some weight, and he's not like a Kevin Durant just yet. Kevin Durant was able to come.
That's kind of where I see. Like, I don't. Sorry to cut you off,
Go
but
ahead.
I don't see him. Like, he's not gonna be down. He's like a wing guy.
Yeah,
He's like a freak to me. He's
a freak, but he's not that freak.
No,
just
right.
yet.
I know. He's,
You know what I'm
he's
saying?
Like, he's a
He's
weird
a big
hybrid.
man that can handle the ball and
Yeah.
can shoot a little.
Yeah.
He's not as polished as one like a 7-foot Durant that just came out like
Yeah.
a scorer. You don't want to talk about a
Yeah,
killer.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
KD's that guy. Wembanyama is he's so tall and it just is he going to be able to dominate? I don't know, man. That's just. Can he possibly down the road? I think maybe 5-6 years into the league, if he stays at it and he's committed, he gets some weight on there. He could possibly be a franchise player. For now, I'm gonna have to pump the brakes. I'm gonna rip it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you hit a lot of the. I think you're 100% right. So, there's been a lot of guys who've come into the league that have the same question about how big they are, because there are a lot of young dudes coming in the NBA, right? And it's proven over and over again that until you really get the speed, you got to get the game to slow down, and then B, you got to get that size so you're not getting demolished. You're going to struggle. He's going to struggle. He's going to come out the first week or two. There's going to be all these questions about, oh my God, is he a bust? Is he a bum? Is he this, that? The answer is no. He's not the GOAT right now, and he won't be a bust when he's struggling out the gate, right? You got to give this kid some time to come in and figure out what the NBA is. He's going to get there, I think. I think he's going to be. I'm never one to just immediately go, yeah, he's the next LeBron James. He's the next Michael Jordan. He's the next whatever. But I think he's going to be a very, very good NBA-level basketball player. I think his skill set is so versatile and unique. They keep calling him the unicorn. We've heard that before. But nonetheless, I think once he gets his footing, and he's in the organization for it, that's also the key, right? He's not in New York where he's going to go play for the Knicks and he's going to get absolutely just destroyed every time he does the slightest thing wrong. Now, hopefully, what won't happen in San Antonio as well is like what we saw already. He's on TMZ with the joke just making about that. Now that's not him. It's not, he's not out doing anything crazy. But if he just keeps his head on straight, he's not getting Zion Williams, blackmailed, any of that craziness. And like you said, if he puts in the work in I think he's going to be there in a few years. We're going to be talking about him. But I am going to rip it for the time being because the hype is too much. He's not going to be, even if everything works out. Can he be a GOAT? That so rarely happens. It is so rare that we talk about someone like we did LeBron James and they live up to the hype. It's just not what happens in sports. So I'm gonna have to go ahead and rip it just because the expectations and the hype is ridiculous.
Well, we've already seen one unicorn in Porzingis, and how long it's taken him. The similar skill set, and similar body frame. You know what I mean? Like that exactly. I don't know. Can he do it? Anything's possible. You know what I mean? We can't just sit here and say, it's black and white and this is it. He'll never be able to do, become a franchise player. But for now, it's just he has a lot to learn about the game. Number one, if you're coming out and saying, I don't know what the hell I'm doing out there, you got a lot to learn about the game. And number two, your body's just not where it needs to be for the rigors of the NBA.
And that's okay. Just need some time.
Yeah. I'm with you guys with 3 for 3. What I did see from him though that I did like though, he was I watched the first game. He was pretty aggressive. Mm-hmm. He presents a problem once he's on the wing because a lot of those guys that are going to be covering him don't have, the footwork to be able to stay with him. So he is going to be a bit of a problem. But yes, he was aggressive. But as soon as he was getting the paint through, they were fouling him, they were hacking him, and they weren't calling anything. And I was like, no, they're just going to beat this kid up. If they're going to allow that to happen, then
that's what usually happens with big men. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, you're so much bigger than everybody. You could deal with that. And, Shaq had to go through that, Jokic and Embiid, all the big greats, they had to deal with 6'9" guys, 6'7" guys trying to body him up and, slapping the crap out of him and be like, what do you want me to do? He's 10 inches taller than me. Okay, we'll let it slide.
Yeah. So we'll see. All right, last one. And I'll just go, this is just a this or that. This is, I always throw in a little fun one. So we're it's a summertime vacation time. And Oz, I'll go to you first. Swimming pool or the beach?
That's a good one. I would say, for me, I like the beach, man. I like going to the beach because that means I'm on vacation. That means I'm away from work. I'm chilling. Yeah, I got my pool back here, but I don't even use it. It's for my kids. And every once in a while,
all right, let's say a pool at a
resort.
Yeah. That or the beach.
See, now you're making it difficult.
Inclusive?
Yeah.
I'll still say the beach, bro. The beach, just to me, you can create more memories at a beach. You got the sand. You can build a little sand castle, get sand in your ass crack. You know what I mean? You go out into the ocean, you got to dodge the sharks. There's all kinds of things you can do. You were just there, Puerto Rico. It's just a different vibe when you're on the beach, man. Okay. So for me, beach.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna. So it's funny, like where you're at in your life has so much effect on the things that you like. Because historically, I am a beach guy. I love the beach. You put me on a beach and you put some sort of alcoholic beverage inside of a fruit with a big umbrella sticking out of it, I'm like the happiest dude on the planet. But I was about to turn 2 on August 12th. My little 2-year-old, just the other day, I wasn't home for this, thankfully. Just the other day, I got a text message from my wife that my son decided to get his hands on some dog poop we missed and eat it. Oh. And I guess not only did he eat it, he went for seconds. So when I think about going to the beach now, at this point in my life, all I think about is my son just eating sand all day and constantly dealing with that. Yeah. So right now I'm team swimming pool for like another year or two, and then we'll get back to the beach.
Okay. Wow, man, that's great. Gotta love it. Gotta love 2-year-olds.
The best.
Wow. I know I'm with Oz, man. I like the toes in the sand, and it's a different vibe, man. It's like you just sit there all day and yeah, it's just I just came from there, so it was although we did spend more time. My wife is the opposite. She likes more just hanging at the pool stuff.
Yeah.
So
So then you're a pool guy.
yeah, by default. Yeah.
Happy wife,
Yeah.
happy life.
Yeah, exactly. So, but there you go, fellas. So that's just another edition of Little Rip It or Slab It. So,
I
all
love
right,
it.
go ahead, brother.
All right, so moving on to the next topic. This is one that was thrown on the list that I think we were all kind of, or Tony and I were wondering about. But Oz, this one's you. This one you
Yeah.
got this on here.
So
what's up
we
with
all
secrets?
we all collect cards. We all collect memorabilia. We just collect things. We're collectors. But there's always that one thing, that one dirty little secret, whether it's card, piece of memorabilia that you collect and nobody really knows about it. It's just like, there's always just one thing that you love it. Every time you see it, it just puts a smile on your face, and you know exactly why you purchased it, but nobody knows about it. So what I want you guys to do, and I will do it myself, is reveal your dirty little secret and tell me why you purchased it and why you're afraid to show it or show it off.
All right, I'll go first on this one. So mine I didn't actually buy because thankfully the person who got this just gifted it to me. But I wouldn't say I'm ashamed of this. I am actually pretty stoked about it, but nonetheless, I feel like a douchebag maybe if I show it. I don't know. It's whatever. But as part of my little journey into the wrestling card world, a bunch of much cooler people than me decided that we were going to put together a wrestling collector card set, and your boy got a hold of his one of one metal. This is a metal
you gotta
card
put
of
that up.
himself.
Put that up,
Wow.
Tony. Are
Green
you able to
screen's killing it.
Wow. Let me see. Can we put him on solo? Let's
Yeah,
see.
you know what?
Oh, there
Yeah,
you go.
yeah,
there you go.
Ooh, so that's
this-
the Hitman T-shirt. Shane
Yeah.
Norton, Sports Cap Nobody. Oh, Wrestling Card Collector Series. Oh, and it got the back.
Oh.
Oh, look at that.
Little bio and everything. And of
Man,
course,
wow.
this is the one of, or I think actually there's two of them. It's a one of two is what it is. So it's actually a metal card. It's got heft to it. So yeah, I mean, yeah. Let's see if I can actually. Ugh.
That is there you go. Let's one more time. Look at
Hear
that.
it?
wow.
So
That's top of the line.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's yeah, I don't know. It's weird having a custom card of myself made out of metal, but it's awesome. So I don't know. I don't know that this is one that I'm necessarily putting out all the time, but I dig it. And again, so these came in a set, right? You had to buy the set for like $40, I think it was. I forget how many cards were in the set, and every one you bought came with a metal card in it. So I actually wanted to buy one of these sets. I went to it was WrestlingTradingCards.com was selling these, and the wrestling guys store. They're the guys that were selling it. But I went to the website to buy it, and I couldn't. There was like some weird like PayPal thing, and then they were sold out in like 24 or 48 hours. I never expected that a set of wrestling collectors was going to sell out, but thankfully, the last guest I had on my podcast, actually Adam Gelman, he pulled my card and he sent it to me he gifted it to me. So
That's awesome.
that's my
That's awesome.
yeah.
Dirty little secret.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So mine is definitely. I think I might have talked about it once when I got it, but so I make fun of Oz all the time because he has a toy collection.
Just because.
Well, yeah, that just because, but that's just yeah. But that's a whole nother thing. No, but I definitely make fun every time he talks about his toy collection. I make, call him a nerd, and, call him a goofball. And I actually purchased a Masters of the Universe.
Nerd.
This is a Skeletor.
Bring it in more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Revelation.
There you go.
thingy. And I bought this because so Oz, this cartoon, I was like, I haven't watched Masters of the Universe in forever, but they did a remake on Netflix. Then, so bought that, and it is my only. Let me see. There you go. It is my only toy that I have.
Dude, that is
And,
legit,
like a good nerd. I didn't even open it. It's still in the packaging.
Look at
man.
that. That's dope.
So
Dude,
you have
that is dope.
yeah. So you have So I am now officially a Trilam, and I have my Masters of the Universe thing. I don't even. This stays like in the closet too, so I'm definitely like hiding my little
And
secret.
bro,
But,
those are not cheap.
no, this thing cost pretty freaking penny. So
How big is this? Is that a
this
12-inch
thing
figure?
is
That's 12.
1/6 scale
Yeah, 1/6. I
collected.
was gonna say it
Yeah,
looks like it's 1/6 scale,
Yeah,
which
it's a
I
big
am
boy.
familiar with. Nice.
1/6 scale. So yeah, man, I am. Yeah, I'm just a
So I'm
freaking.
just waiting for you because the whole reason you got that one is you wanted to get all the
I wanted to
evil.
get all, yeah, and that's since I was gonna. So the thinking behind that was I was just gonna get all the villains of the '80s cartoons,
Okay.
Skeletor, Mumra, all those guys like that. But it started and stopped at Skeletor. So
You'll get there someday.
yeah. It's that's no
Dipping your
rush.
toes in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So Skeletor is Tony's dirty little secret.
yeah.
So time for cousin Oz. Now I purchased this card a while ago. So it's a 2020-21 Tops Now, and it is my boy Bernie Sanders, and it is the famous pose that went
Yes.
viral
What the hell is
of
that?
Bernie. This was at Joe Biden's inauguration.
Yes.
Oh God.
He got the mittens, the gloves, the mask,
So bad.
and the legs crossed. Bro, this was just
Incredible.
classic. Like, this has nothing to do with being political or anything. I love this thing. Just went viral, and Bernie always was funny to me because he's an old man that doesn't give a crap about anything, and we either love him or hate him. But the way his pose there with the mittens and like I said, that at that time, bro, that went super viral. And that was
It was
all over
everywhere.
the internet.
It was everywhere. What did
Yeah.
you say is graded as?
That's a Gem Mint 10.
10.
Oh, it's
Nice.
got to be the top. If it's got, what is it? What's this thing? The top 1% of whatever.
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
talking
that's-
about.
yeah,
So
that's-
it's got to be a 10 if you're gonna.
Now
have
that
it.
that actually has, I think, a foil card as well. That's the base. I think that because that's from they have election. Have you ever seen those, like the Tops Now, the election sets, and they'll
Yeah.
have like
Oh,
they
yeah,
have
yeah.
Donald Trump,
Yeah, they have
Joe
all
that.
Biden, like everybody in there, Kamala
Yeah.
Harris, and anything to do with the election. So they'll have the base set, and then I think they have like a foil card as well. So that's just the base, but that's just something. Takes me right back to that election, that whole crazy election, and right back into the COVID era.
Yeah, that's right.
Jeez Louise. Wow, you might have won.
Dirty little secret.
All right, that was a lot of fun. Man. That's a really good one. That was a blast. All right, let's move on to I guess our main event of this particular episode, national event. So we're all going to Chicago. We're all going to be at the national. We're all going to be doing our thing. But this year things are a little bit different for both you two and myself. We are both involved pretty heavily with some different events that we're taking part in. Why don't you guys take it away and talk about what you got going on?
All right. Yeah. So it's us, Rob, the sports card therapist, Big Ken from Sports Card Lessons, the Crosstown Cardboard guys, Craig and Carmine, and Dave is there in spirit. But we have a what we're calling trade night / hobby hangout Friday night at the National, 6 to 9 p.m. at the Crown Plaza. So it's right across the street from the the main national thing there.
Easy
But-
to get to.
Yeah, easy to get to, man. But this is something, dude, that I told I was like, this was just last year we had a great time, and I'm like, dude, I want to do something. And big thanks to you, Mr. Shane, because you kind of laid the groundwork with getting the spot, and again, tip of the hat to you for that. But here we are, a couple 2 weeks away or so, and we're hosting an event at the National. Like, that's crazy. It's like, because you as you go to these things, and everybody has their own different hobby experience. You can collect. I mean, we know a guy who doesn't do any social media, none of that stuff. He collects. He just gets his Beckett magazine yet, and that's the way he. But to me, to be like fully in, like all in on this thing is like have something that you're throwing and like people are coming to see you and you've put in work, and it's just a dude, it's gonna be a blast. Like I was talked about he's gonna try and make some trades. There's no way he's gonna do even one. It's gonna be just talking to people, and, you know, it's just gonna be so cool, man. I'm looking forward to it. And dude, that can't like that is the highlight of the national for me. I don't have any specific card that I'm looking to get, so that is my like just main event.
Yeah.
Not to steal the the from the other thing, but no, that's hype. I'm so hyper focused on that one.
Yeah, definitely. And it's something, and Shane, you know very well, it's just not something that just comes together like, you know, you don't snap your fingers and all of a sudden you're holding, you know, hosting something at the national. There's a lot of hoops you got to jump through and a lot of things you got to do. So that makes it even more special, knowing all the work behind the scenes that we've done to try to get this up and running. So, and it's going to be again, these last 2 years, it's almost been a blur. You know, we talked about it earlier. What will we change? And it's like, honestly, nothing. You know, here we are right now hosting an event at the National. Who would have thought of that? You know, none of us. So, you know, little by little, just putting our footprint, our stamp, you know, on our hobby experience, and, you know, just hoping that we can bring people along and people that listen to us and take the time out to go ahead and listen to Cousins, listen to the Nobody, and then, you know, come check us out at these events. It's going to be awesome, man. And that's really what it boils down to, is just the people, and, you know, being able to have this event it's for them. You know, it's everybody coming and celebrating, because we all love to collect cards, man. And it's like, why not just have a spot besides the National? You know, we're doing ours Friday night, and I believe yours is Friday night as well, at a little later time. Dude, and it's just two places that we can hang out and just, you know, break bread with everybody that we've been talking to in the DMs, that, you know, we've traded with, we bought cards from, or just listen to us, you know, and they slide into our DMs and just have chats all day long. So it's gonna be awesome, man. Can't wait.
Yeah, I am so pumped for that. I'm definitely plotting out time to come, at least for the beginning of your guys' thing, because, yeah, I since the National last year, I remember like one of the final days that I was there, I had heard something about an F1 trade night or something that was going down. And meanwhile, I'm getting deeply entrenched in the wrestling card world, and there was very limited wrestling stuff there. And I thought, man, next year there's got to be something for wrestling. So really, as soon as the National ended, I started doing a lot of homework, and there were a lot of ups and downs of trying to get this thing going. But then I got linked up. It turns out there were like 3 other people trying to put together a wrestling event as well. And that was great. So we all got linked up. And sure enough, we finally got things approved and going. We are having this event. It's going to be from 8 to 11 on the Friday, July 28th. Ours is going to be in Rosemount. It's going to be at the Hyatt Regency. This is going to be officially sponsored by Panini, which is phenomenal that we got them on board. And ours is an invite-only event. So if you are interested, anybody who wants to come, it's right below me right now. Just email, hey, I want to come to Chicago Main Event 2023 at gmail.com. We'll get you on that list. We'll get you the head count accounted for, and you can come on out. But we're going to have giveaways. We're going to have some special panels. We're going to talk about wrestling cards. Really, it's exactly what you guys just said. The wrestling community is a niche within a niche, right? We're so small but very passionate, and there is still a great number of us that do this thing. So to get this thing to come together, the most important thing is what you guys already said about your event as well, is the atmosphere. Getting together with other passionate collectors. And I don't care, there's going to be people who collect wrestling figures, there's going to be people who collect wrestling memorabilia. Wrestling cards is obviously the crux of it all. There's going to be people showing off their collections. There's going to be a lot of awesome cards in there. I might have our 2014 Rock Topps Chrome Gold 10 out there, baby. Let's see. But yeah, if anybody's interested, the email's below me. Sign up. Come on out. Hyatt Regency. It is going to be phenomenal. Huge shout out to everybody involved. I mean, we had Adam Gelman. I just want to give him a quick shout out. New York Roadshow. Ryan Shear. We've had so many people. Paul Anon. Tony Vella, so many people coming together to make this happen, and the amount of people that are going to be there that love wrestling and wrestling cards and wrestling collecting is going to be through the roof. Come on out. The hobby hangout with the Cousins, with everybody there, is going to be amazing. There's so much going on. It's going to be awesome to see everybody. I can't wait. My brother, my nephews, my wife's going to be out there. We're going to be coming to your thing and saying hi to us. Oh, God, I can't wait. I cannot wait to see the whole Wolfpack gang. I can't wait to see everybody that comes out. It's going to be such a phenomenal night.
Nice.
Yeah, dude, I can't wait. It's yeah, I'm super excited for that, and I like that they're not at the same time, so we can do
Yeah.
our thing.
You know that the cousins are gonna crash that
Oh
party.
yeah, so
Come
put us
on,
on the
dude.
list.
Come
I
on
don't-
over.
Yeah, I have a couple 5-timer club cards still, so that'll be my entrance to get in. But
Yeah, I
Hell
gotta
yeah.
find something.
because we're gonna be up in there. I do want to ask. I don't know how far you can, much you can get into it, but like you said, you have that corporate sponsor. We don't. That part of that, our thinking was we didn't. Not that corporate people came knocking at the door, although things have kind of changed a little bit behind the scenes since then. There have been some, but it was to the point where like we didn't want to say like you can't do this, you got to do that, you can't do this, you got to do that. And I know that you guys have so like the good, I don't want to call it good and bad, but there are things you got to deal with, I guess. So you say when you have a course. So just how's that been for you guys as far as putting it together and all that good stuff?
Well, here's one thing I'll say. So we obviously, we have a big group chat. We're all discussing things, and you guys have your really awesome flyer talking about all the different things that you're having at your show. And we did have somebody say, "Man, why can't we have some of that?" And that's why. We got this through the national committee and all those sorts of things. So there's definitely some rules that we have to follow. But it does come with being allowed to be right in that Hyatt Regency, which is super convenient. And having Panini involved, I mean, I think that's well worth, having to follow various rules. I'm stoked about it, having their stamp on it. I think just kind of adds a little like extra, like, hey, this is kind of, a legitimate thing. Come on out. And we've seen a big uptick in the head count and the signups once we were able to start posting that. I think you see that sticker kind of gets people excited. And that's what I care the most about. Like, it doesn't matter to me, anything other than getting as many people that love wrestling and wrestling cards and that are awesome to just come out and have fun and make this a really fun couple of hours to sort of be like the cap off of Friday,
Yeah. Dude, I can't wait. I'm telling you, I can't wait. It's going to be.
I can't believe it's right around the corner.
It's like crazy how fast it sneaks up, man.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah.
But it is going to be, I mean, we all know Thursday is going to be a big night. But I'll tell you what, with what you guys are doing, with what we're doing, especially if you're into wrestling cards, Friday is going to be, that is my day. I cannot wait for Friday at the National. And I also can't wait for the next chance I get to get on the mic with you guys, because this was far too long. I am so pumped that you guys, through flooded basements and everything, were able to still hop on the mic with me and do this. Just this last, hour and change, this is so much fun. I love hanging out with the cousins. This was a blast.
Always, man. Listen, this is something, as soon as this national wraps up, we got to have that national review. It's going to be cousins and the nobodies doing our review. It's going to be off the hook, the behind the scenes of everything. I'm sure we're going to have stories for days when it comes to that. So, yeah, man, we got to make this a monthly deal. I know we're very busy. We got our own lives and, not to mention families and stuff like that. But we got to take an hour once a month to give it back to the people. They deserve the faction powered by the NCO.
Oh,